Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Living in Peace with Nakia podcast. I am joined today by a very special guest. Her name is Danaya. I've been knowing Danaya for a little over 2 years now, and she has been such a blessing to my life. I had walked in to get a facial, and this beautiful soul walked around the corner and said, I'll take you. And from there on, she's been doing me up so good. That's why my skin is popping. Danaya, welcome to Living in Peace with Nakia podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Nakia. It's an honor to be here, and I'm so excited to be talking with you today. For even the invitation to speak to you, with you, and your audience is amazing. Thank you so much, and happy New Year!
Happy New Year to you too. 2024. I cannot believe that it is already here. Can you believe it? That's crazy. Like we were
Crazy.
just in 2023.
I know it's like a blink, but I feel like the older you get, the more you welcome, time, and you understand how fast that it goes by. So you value it a little bit more.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Danaya, I'm just going to jump right into this because one of the things that I love about you is your spirit. Your spirit just shines so bright. You are a light to me, to this world, in such a dark place. And I want to jump into your bio. Your bio caught my attention. Your bio reads, be brave enough to remember, be courageous enough to forget, be vulnerable enough to become. That's deep. That's deep. Talk
Thank
about
you.
that.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
So before I even break down how what that means to me, I want to talk about how I came up with it, right?
Okay.
So I want to give a big shout out to Ronnie Brown. She is a brand strategist, right? So for I want to say my 32nd birthday, I treated myself to her program, right? So mind you, it's looks like she has it all, like the story, her femininity, all of the things. And I'm like, that's my goal. She's ambitious, but she's not so,
Right.
hardcore. So I was like,
Right.
okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So I want to say halfway through the program, we had to talk about building our story. Like behind everything that you do, there's a foundation, there's a core.
Right.
It could be different visuals, different whatever, but the message stays the same.
Yes.
So she's the type that we get on Zoom calls, we talk,
Mm.
4 hours, 2 hours, whatever. So it's my turn and I'm talking, I'm telling her. And when I tell you that she saw me,
Wow.
but not in a way that the light, which I
Right.
do have, right? But she saw
Yes.
my darkness. She
Wow.
saw the part of me that nobody had ever seen really,
Right.
But some people when they're exposed like that, they get offended. But for
Right.
me, it was like somebody who I admire
Mm.
actually took the time to see my heart, all parts of my heart, the part that
Yes.
was hurting. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And
Yes.
she basically told me in my Gemini nature that I'm a chameleon. She was like, "You're a chameleon. You kind of don't really know who you are. You adapt to all these situations,
Mm.
And it really made me sit down and think. She's right. She's right.
Yeah.
So what are my core values? How do I want to live my life? If I stop doing facial today, what would my message be?
Right.
Like when I get on my stories and I say different things, but the message is usually the same. So
Right.
what is it? What journey am I on right now that I feel like I will be on for the entirety of my life? It
Yes.
was like self-expression,
Yeah.
self-love and self-acceptance. And
Yeah.
that's really what it is.
Do you feel as though that you knew there was a part of you that was dark like that you couldn't tap into as much? You didn't even realize that,
I
right?
did not even realize.
Mm.
That was like she opened up the gate, and
Mm.
then I think okay, motherhood, because I had my son like a year and a half before then, so
Right.
I feel like just my emotions was open, but you don't know that
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely, childbirth, it got open, but then
Yes.
having that conversation with her, it made me
Yes.
look within.
Mm.
And from there, I've been intentional about going on a journey of self-discovery and
Mm.
reinforcing just the little insights that I get throughout
Mm.
the day, throughout life, because it's the small things, you know,
It
that
really
matter.
is. It
Yes.
really is. It really is. Danaya, what are you passionate about?
That's such a good question. That is such a, and you know what? I'm shouting out all these people, but they inspire me, you know.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and I think, you know, as Black women, we need to, you know, support one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yes,
Absolutely.
another woman that just pours into me and I admire is April Mason,
Mm,
and she had this live. I know she's a femininity coach. She's well known for just allowing women to tap into their femininity, which
okay.
allows them to find very masculine men to
Okay.
marry. But it's really about getting in touch with yourself.
Sure.
Hmm.
Sure.
And she had this live that talked about like following your purpose and
Mm,
then following your passion, right?
mm.
And the crazy thing is that I am passionate about my purpose. So as long as I'm living in my purpose,
Yes.
I'm living with passion. I'm living in my
Yes.
passion. You know,
Yes.
that way I can never lose a sense of
Right.
myself,
Right.
because it's nothing outside of me. It's always within.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I honestly do feel like my purpose is to share my light, you know, whether it's in person, whether it's online, that's my purpose. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Yes.
And, you know, it's so comforting to know, especially when you're healing from like
Mm,
a guarded heart and thinking things can be
mm.
taken from you, that it cannot be
Right.
taken away from me, because
No.
it's God given, you know?
Yes.
So that's,
Yes. So that is what you're passionate about. Passionate
yes.
about your purpose, and you are walking and thriving in your purpose, Danaya. What are some of the challenges you think that you come across while you're walking in your purpose?
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I would say some of the challenges that I personally have faced,
Hmm.
it's like a double-edged sword. It's within, you know, it's
Yes.
all of these limiting beliefs and thoughts
Yes.
that I had that I
Yes.
was unaware of. And
Yes.
then it's just like I started to become aware of them, you know?
Mm,
And I was like, hey, I didn't even know I was thinking like that for so
right.
long.
That is
Wait a
that
minute.
That's the key right there, is when you become aware of your thoughts. So I'm an overthinker, right? And I started reading this book, and forgive me, I can't no, it's Battlefield of the Mind by Joyce Meyer. I started reading the book, and it talked about becoming aware of your thoughts. And once you're aware of your thoughts, the Bible says that we can take our thoughts captive. That means if we start thinking about something that we know that's not aligned with where we're going, or it's not the truth, the way, or the light, then we can take those thoughts and grab it, right? We can take those thoughts and we can get rid of it, because we have power over our mind is our power, right? And
Yeah,
so when I think about being an overthinker, I think about that Bible verse a lot. I think about becoming aware of what I'm thinking about, because I'm like, your thoughts could be the devil at times, right? It can create so much fear in you. It can create so many things. Oh, you can't do this, or you can't do that, and it'll stop you from wanting to walk in your purpose. So I understand what you mean about having those challenges like within, because it really starts inside.
exactly. And what you mentioned too, first of all, that book is very popular. I need to read it.
Yes.
And I've
Yes.
been seeing like her reels. I think I follow her now on Instagram. I'm like,
Yes.
girl, you are the
Yes.
truth. So
She is the truth.
girl,
Shout
I
out
need
to
to
Joyce
really dive
Meyer.
in. Yes, I'm gonna dive in. But when you said
Yes.
sometimes our mind could be the devil, it made
Yeah.
me think about another book that,
Mm,
especially during these times,
mm.
you know, they say we're gonna come out the recession soon, right?
Yes.
But we still in per se.
Yes.
So it's this book by Napoleon Hill. I know he's known for Think and Grow Rich, but
Oh,
a book that really made me a fan is called Outwitting the Devil. I
winning.
read this book when I was in my early 20s, because even though I didn't know I had all this hurt, I was always searching for to fill some kind of void. I knew
Right.
something was missing, right?
Yeah.
And in this book, Napoleon Hill, he basically was a very successful, I think he sold insurance, but he lost it all. during
Mm,
the recession back then in the
mm,
30s. And he just was walking. He just kept on asking, like, why? What did I do? How did I lose this?
mm,
Kept on asking. And he basically summoned the devil. And the
mm,
devil was like, oh my God, you just won't be quiet. You kept on asking why. So now you have me here. Ask me
mm-hmm,
all the questions you want to ask me. And
mm.
when I tell you that book was so insightful, he talked about like having an idle mind and how
See?
that's a way for him to like seep low
Yes,
frequency thoughts. It just,
yes.
it's a good book.
Yes, I have to check that book out. I have to
Yes,
check that book out because
please do.
I really believe that once we get our mind and our heart aligned,
Yes.
right? I believe that so much can flow because we tend to look at the outside, right? I know we had a discussion about the inside, right? And you are walking in your femininity. You said that you are worthy, right? We are all worthy. And I want to talk about something that you said. You said when we are worthy, it's like a return to God. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that because he sees us as we are worthy enough. We are good enough, right? So
Yes.
how did you get to that mindset?
Oh, you know, I do feel like it's an accumulation of life
Mm.
experiences,
Mhm.
from me reading a lot of books in my 20s to really like motherhood, transitioning from, first a 9 to 5 W-2, then a
Mhm.
1099 employee, and now like self-employed. So many life changes
Mm.
have forced me to really like look at myself.
Yeah.
I would say though, during quarantine, when
Mhm.
we really couldn't work and we had time to really be still, you
Right.
know, and that was when my son was like 1, and I needed that time. I didn't
Mm,
even know I needed that time, but I needed it.
mm,
And I'm so grateful to God that it happened in that way, that I had the time.
mhm.
I'm sad that I lost my uncle, you know what I'm saying, during that time, and lives were lost, but
Right.
it gave me quality time to walk in nature,
Mm,
with my son, to
yes.
reflect.
Yeah.
And I think having that time really made me put things into
Mm,
about my worth. A book that I do
mm,
remember reading again is
mm.
Psycho-Cybernetics. It
Okay.
sounds big, but it's not. It's a thick book though, but it basically talks about the difference between self-esteem and
Mhm.
self-worth, and how
Mm,
you can have one and not the other, or you can have both. And most of the times one is lacking, and that's why what you're trying to manifest in your life is not coming through, is because like one of them again is not aligned. So my heart, same thing.
right. Right.
So that just really it started having me ask questions again,
Right.
and sit with the questions and become
Right.
so aware of what I was actually answering, like how I was answering those questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that really helped during that time, because that was recent.
Okay.
And I feel like you might come to that understanding, but then it may take a while for you to really embody it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because once you really embody the fact that like you are really worthy, that there's a part of you that's always connected to
Mhm.
God, that's always connected to love, to God's love, is
Yeah.
like, it's just certain things that naturally you will no longer
Yes.
allow.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
might even like some things come easily, like, no, I can't believe I was accepting. Other things might be more difficult, but it's in your best
Right.
interest. But I
Yes.
feel like it takes time for them to mesh together.
Right. Yes. Right. Because we all know that God Himself is love.
Yes.
Right. And He's so patient and He's so kind and He teaches us how to love and how not to boast and how not to be proud. Right. And He
Yes.
says that we all are all wonderfully and uniquely made in His image. Right. So it doesn't matter what we look like on the outside, it's on the inside that matters. And I think that I am becoming more passionate about learning how my light shines and learning who I am in the inside, right? Because sometimes we get so distracted with with things and people that's around us that we don't take that time. First, let me say I need to get your book collection, okay? Because the books you've been naming off off the rip, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a 2024 read. This is gonna be a 2024 read.
So we can put that in the show notes. I got
yes, I gotta put this in the notes. What books you reading? Because this is, I mean, this is important, right? To help with your growth, to help with yourself, to help with your walk. I love that. You have posted a reel about divine intelligence. I probably watched that video like 1,000 times, but I'm not going to spoil it. Talk to us about divine intelligence and what do you get from that?
Oh wow. So with divine intelligence, again, I just think that everything has like a divine order, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes it's controversy between like religion and science,
Right.
but I believe that God made science. You know what I'm saying? There's an order to things. There's
Yes.
just, if you look at something in its smallest part to its largest, it
Yes.
all builds on one another,
Yes.
right? So when
Yes.
I'm saying like divine intelligence, it's like the mind of God, you know, which
Mm-hmm.
we have access to too. We are one with that
Yes.
divine mind. So
Yes.
that's when I say like divine intelligence. And
Oh,
sometimes it could kind of be like the Matrix in a way, like you should get downloads, you know what
right.
I'm
right.
in like the larger scheme of things, it's like you believe that you have access to all. You are never
Yes.
without.
No, you are never without. And that's why I think it's important too to kind of get connected like to your spirit, right? Sometimes you have to kind of sit in a room with the door closed,
Mhm.
meditate. You know, some people meditate, some people
Yeah.
are in prayer. That's why you have to get in deep connection and kind of block out everything else that's going on so you can have that divine connection with God. I believe with people. I believe people are divinely connected. I believe there was no mistake. I don't believe that I just happened to walk in and get you that day and then that was that. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember when I started my podcast 2 years ago, you were the first one of the first people who I matter of fact, you were the first person that I shared it outside of my family. You were doing my face and we were talking and it just it you were very, very, very helpful to me during that time. And so I just wanted to thank you for that publicly. Just thank you
Very
for
welcome.
being there. Yes, for me. But you also did another reel that came from your mouth that you thought of, basking in darkness to shine your beautiful light. Darkness absorbs light. You said that was one of your own. You are on a journey of becoming a more feminine woman, which has everything to do with how you are and little to do with how you look present, back to beingness. Now this is what we kind of touched on a little bit, but that quote right there, basking in darkness to shining your beautiful light, I love that. What darkness did you have to overcome to
Okay.
see that?
Okay, so like I would say this is equivalent to like, you know, they say shadow work, kind of like looking at the things that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
So I had to look at the things that I didn't want to see in my life that
Right.
I caused. You know what I'm saying? So again, with the thoughts, you know, I
Mhm.
was aware of those thoughts, but then my actions, some of them I was just like, this is not in alignment with
Right.
who I am or who I thought I was. Like, what's going on?
Mhm.
And then I'm just like taking a reel of my life so far.
Mhm.
And I'm like, who's actually running the show?
Mhm.
Like, I feel like it is sometimes 7-year-old me, 14-year-old me, 22-year-old, you know? So it's like, I just surrender, which is a big part of femininity, you know, letting go, not being in so much control, to the unknown, like not knowing what's next, but just surrendering to how my life has played out thus far, you know, not judging it, but just looking at it. And then what I started to notice was like the more I started to do it, the more comfortable I became, you know? But then I'm like, girl, I don't want to stay. It's not the sunken place per se, you know, because
Right.
you get insight from what you learn, but it's like, oh, you
Sure.
got to come out eventually.
Yeah.
So what's that going to look like?
Right.
So, but I'm like, girl, don't rush it. Don't rush it. You in here, you kind of like floating in this darkness, looking over your life, seeing certain things, but just think of it as science and different
Mm-hmm.
spectrums of light. If you can't tell, I have a master's and a bachelor's in biology. My master's is in food science, and my bachelor's is in biology. But so I like to relate things to science,
Right.
right? So I'm just like, well, in darkness, it absorbs like all light.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
not that like it's the lack of, it's just that it can absorb certain spectrums.
Right.
And I also believe in physics. It's like before you can move forward, you have to go back. So if it's
Yes.
like I'm in this darkness, absorbing all of this, looking at it, then when I like propel forward to come out, that means everything that I absorb is gonna come out as well.
Yeah.
And then again, with us being women, we have the power to transmute. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm transmuting that darkness into light. But right now,
Mm-hmm.
I just have to sit in it. And it
Right.
also could be like a metaphor for like being in soil, like, or almost like a rebirth. You know what I'm saying? But the
Mm-hmm.
soil is just like God's everlasting love, protection, guidance. The soil don't
Right.
have to be just death. You can look at it like you being a seed in the
Yeah.
ground,
Yeah.
of divinity, and then you just grow into a beautiful flower when it's time. But
Yeah.
don't be afraid of the darkness or the unknown when you
Right.
trying to find your light.
Yeah.
It's a necessary process. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
go back to go forward.
Thank you for that. With my walk that I'm doing, especially with this podcast, I know I'm going to come into a lot of hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
You have spoke about being an entrepreneur and coming into darkness, stepping into darkness, and that was difficult. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was difficult. I feel like
Was it the process, or was it while you were actually did you have to deal with some things, during, or?
no, I think it's the way like I just handle things. It's the way that I saw myself. The way
Okay.
that I'm like, this is enough. Again, like I don't have
Okay.
to get like the next best. You know what I'm saying? Things
Right.
of nature, or like how do I deal with my goals not being met when I want them to be
Sure.
met?
Sure.
Things of that nature. It challenges my self-worth, my thoughts of my self-worth. You know what I'm saying? Am I thinking objectively right now? Or is the little girl me taking over the show, and it's just like this is a reflection of you. You're bad. You didn't do
Yes.
enough,
Yeah. Right. Right.
and then face it every day.
Yes. Yes.
It's like it's healing. But
Yes.
it's also like, dang it.
Yeah.
I feel like, damn, like, oh my God. Enough. Give me a
Right.
break. But
Right. Right. That's a lot. That's kind of a lot to take on to. Do you feel like you have to tap into childhood Danaya a lot? Because like for me right now, like I am learning to tap into little Kia. Like like have the memories that I have of little Kia as much as I can remember, and tap into that, right? And then kind of think about what was going on around me during that time. Do you feel like young Danaya is trying to come out? Do you feel like you have to tap into her, like, girl, chill, like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, do you feel like that?
I do. I feel like, and that's the thing. It's like you said, going back and seeing what was going on around that time.
Right.
And it's just like the young Danae that likes to play, yes.
Right.
She needs to come out more,
Yes.
have fun. And then
Yes.
kind of like, okay, girl, you had your
Yes.
fun. Now let's, put that extra energy into productivity. And
Yes.
within that, that sometimes that can bring up shadows too, because you're just like, okay, young Danae,
Right.
this lady was suppressing her emotions because she didn't know she was an empath. And
Right.
everybody else was good.
Right.
It's like when people come to you with their problems, you
Yeah.
just automatically trying to solve it, but
Right.
you're like, no.
Yes.
34-year-old Danae does not
Right.
do that. She doesn't have enough energy, and that's not an invitation for you to stop.
Right.
It's just like the
Yeah.
good part. Then honestly, just in December, I was just thinking about this. Like,
What?
I was doing so good with my I won't say weight loss journey, but toning my
Right.
body journey.
Right.
But
Right.
then little Danaya, she loves to eat Cheez-Its and Pop-Tarts.
Girl.
I had a time between November and December. Like, I let the inner child come over, and she was just snacking on the cheese and the Pop-Tarts, and I
That
said,
was
oh my
me.
God, all my work is diminished.
Right.
We have to be a little bit more self-aware of who's running
Yes.
the show again.
is me. And right now I'm currently on my Daniel fast right now. I always start my Daniel fast. Well, I don't want to say always. This is actually my second year doing it, my third time doing it, but my second year doing it. And Daniel fast, obviously, like it's not just about what you eat and what you don't eat, right? It's about getting spiritually connected closer with God and just fasting. But girl, I needed to fast and cleanse myself from all of the things that I was eating since November. So I'm just like you, just like you.
And you were the first one to tell me about the Daniel fast, actually.
Yes. Daniel fast, and I loved it. When I finished it, I felt so more closer and connected to God. And then just like anything else that I was doing in my life during the time, right? Like I start doing stuff and then I disconnect slowly but surely, like life things happen, right? And then I start to disconnect a little bit more. But for some reason last year was something different. And I believe that that was my first initial confirmation that I needed to walk away from my marriage. I believe that that was my first thought of surrendering to God after I had did. And during that fast, like I said, we got connected a lot. I was able to sit and think and meditate on his word and hear him more clearly. And so after that, I had went to a Sarah Jakes Roberts conference, a Woman Evolve conference down in Tampa. I didn't know who I was going with. I bought 2 tickets. I didn't know who I was going with at the time. I didn't know. I just knew that I was going to be in the building. And I believe that everything kind of led me to where I am today. And I really, really enjoy the Daniel fast. Not even to the positives about you losing a little bit of weight. You know what I'm saying? Like that don't hurt. You know what I mean? Right. But I feel like I'm more wiser. And now that I'm doing this fast, I don't want to go backwards. Like I don't want to disconnect. I don't want to go the Nakia way anymore. You know what I mean? And I have some praying and thinking to do, but I love me some ribeye steak, so I can't sit here and say I'm go back to not eating meat again ever.
Everything in moderation,
Moderation, that's it, moderation.
But I do want to say too, I like how you've been consistent with the Daniel fast, and I feel like each time you do it, something else, breaks away.
It does.
It's you like excited for the next time because seeing the results, So I feel like you don't even have to force the ribeye. Eventually, if it's meant to be, you might lose the taste for it.
You're right about that. You are right about that, Danaya, because what's crazy that you said that is because I had just thought to myself yesterday that I want to implement the Daniel fast for me every quarter of the year, right? So I want to do it, January. I want to do it again in April and then again in July. Like I want to have that time, those 21 days of just sacrificing the things that I love and want to do for God. I believe that my thoughts are clearer, like in the morning, sometimes the first thing we do after we turn off the alarm, I know for me, like I would say a quick little prayer, thank you Lord for waking me up, and then I'm looking on Instagram or, I'm looking on, I'm being intentional now during this fast. Like I haven't even posted anything really. I haven't posted anything in a couple days, but I just have been more intentional about my time and my thoughts with God. And I really, really love the Daniel fast. I really do. It's difficult in a way with anything, like with diets, right? Like with, things like that. But it makes it easier for me when I remember what I'm doing it. I remember the why I'm doing it.
Purpose, yes.
The purpose of it, and it does make it a lot better when I remember the why. So thank you for sharing. That encouraged me to
of course
keep going with the fast. So, but I do have a question for you. How has your life experience inspired you to use your gift to serve others?
Oh wow. Oh, you know what? I would say within like this year, it's been January. So I would say probably around October, I've been thinking about that like a little bit more intensely, I would say, because thus far it's just been like people who I encounter. If I get like, the urge to share, I would just share online. But now,
Yeah.
I have young nieces who most of my family's in New York.
Right. Right.
And they are still there. And I'm like, I do want to impart like knowledge and wisdom onto them. And like the best way that I know how to do that is, of course, through books. So I
Yes.
yes, want to not only like I want to send them books that I've read one at a time and us like go through it.
Right.
Also I've been inspired, to really build a community same way, like revolving around books in a way, but it's still being formulated in my mind. But I do want to just like I feel like this is the year. It's like you gotta find your community. I'm for you, you for me. Let's do this thing together. Like you throw things out there, you catch who you catch. But once you've been being consistent for a long, long time, it's like, all right, now let's take this thing offline. And I'm excited to see like where it will take me. So
Yes.
to answer that question, I would say definitely with my immediate family, my young nieces, and with people like you who've been rocking with me like from the beginning of
Yes.
my self-discovery journey.
Yes.
I want to create a more like intimate setting. And then this is the thing too, like I've been in a few coaching programs where they use the word container. And at
Mm.
first I was just like, Lord, the container, y'all trying to box me in. I don't know about that. But this had like a different perspective on it. One of my favorite movies is The Fifth Element. And I love the part where, are you familiar with the movie?
I've heard of it. I just don't remember it.
Okay, so basically, movie with girl, I thought we was gonna be living in these times by now when
Right.
they
It's
flying in the air.
it's with
Bruce
Bruce Willis
and Chris
and
Tucker,
Chris
yes,
Tucker. Okay.
yes,
Okay. I seen it. I seen it. I just don't remember it. Okay.
yes. So basically, they in the year I don't know 2055, right?
Right.
Flying around in the city of New York, taxi cabs everywhere, and the alien comes down to protect Earth from ultimate destruction, right?
Mm,
But of course, the alien is in the form of a beautiful woman
mm.
because we have the power. So basically, she learns everything about Earth like throughout history, right? She's just downloading, downloading, downloading. And she's like, why should I even save this place? It's decrepit.
Right.
Y'all love each other. Da, da, da,
Right.
da. And basically, at the end of the movie, her name is Lilo, and Bruce Willis, they fall in love, right? They have to
Mm,
collect these elements, and they
okay.
scatter all across the world. So they get the four elements, put them in the stone, and she got to be in the center so she can like kill the meteorite that's going to destroy
Mm,
Earth. So
okay.
she basically was not going to do it until Bruce expressed his love for her, right? So it's countdown time, 10 seconds on the clock before the meteorite come. He says, I love you. She like just like surrenders and, lets out this fire and she saves Earth. But the thing was, that's the container
Mm,
to hold all the power that you
mm,
within yourself,
okay.
but you have to feel safe.
I
Who who's holding you? That was something that popped in my head the other day too. Like, who's holding you? And that's
yeah.
like, okay, that's why containers are important in
Yeah.
that. Yes.
In that aspect. Wow. That's deep. As you were talking, God had put into my spirit to just throw this out there. I don't know about how you feel like about journaling, or if you already journal, or
Oh
if
yeah.
but it would be so good with the wisdom and experiences that you have and the light that you are, to maybe write a not write a book, but maybe do a journal or do something where you could put it
Mm.
out there to people, because that would be like, what are your thoughts for the day, or what encouragement do you want to give for that day, or and people can write, people can write underneath what it is, the message that you have, so that was something that just popped into my spirit as you were talking, because you're a lover of books, and
Yeah.
you're a lover of encouraging people and being the light to people. So how could you do that with all the wisdom that you've collected from all the books that you read?
You know what? That's a good idea, and I received that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You are so welcome. So when your first journal come out, don't forget to say, "Hey,
Girl, I'm gonna take a copy, okay?
yes, hey, Nakia, here is your copy," because I'll be the first. I love to do that. I love to, sometimes like I have a Jesus calling book that I read every day, and it's a message, right, from Jesus in the book. There's no space for me to write, but I write in something else. But I love to take the day's message. I love to take the day's word, and I love to try to meditate on what it is that I read that morning or that day or that evening. You know what I mean? And kind of carry it with me. So I don't know. I feel like I feel like you read so many books and you're so wise beyond your years, and you have so much light that you could put this out there. Hey, it's just a thought. I'm just a
Like a
messenger.
5 type journal.
Yes, like I think that you should
Ah,
I think that you should come out with some kind of not a book per se to read, but you should come out with like a journal, and people can write. People do journal, right? Like I have a prayer planner and I write in my prayer planner all the time, almost every day. But you
mm,
come out with what it is that you wanted to say. You have
okay.
365 Danaya quotes
Quote. I like it. I
to
like
put out there. You know what I
it. You
mean?
know what?
That could be something that would, for me, like for me, I would love to kind of see that, because like I said, I love the messages that you put out there on Instagram, which leads me to my next question is, what message do you want to give to the people listening or watching?
Yeah, that's beautiful. The message that I want to give to the people watching is one of my favorite quotes from another author,
See?
Coelho. Yes, we all know him from The Alchemist, but he has another book that I really like called The Valkyries, and I believe it's in that book that he spoke about the journey to heaven is
Mm.
heaven. I
Ooh.
remind myself of that all of the time.
Ooh, that's
Like
good.
yes, when I'm in it and I feel like I'm struggling and there's no way out, I just say it's so short and so simple. The journey to heaven is heaven. I'm in heaven right now. Like the journey, appreciate the journey, the process. This is refining you. This is removing all of the limiting thoughts, beliefs, actions, motives, all of those things away. It is not in vain. It is
Mm.
not. On the days where I just was like, I just can't, it's just too much. It's just like, Danaya, the journey to heaven is heaven. And I feel like we all have this light within us, that we cannot let burn out. And you might want to let it, but you're like, I just can't. Something within me, it might be the smallest little flame, but that's all you need, And it's just like, that's gonna keep me going, because the journey to heaven is heaven. Like, I'm one with God. God will never forsake me. Like, the journey to heaven is heaven, and you keep going. It doesn't have to be as grand as it was yesterday, but you don't give up. So that's
I-
what I would want to impart on the people.
yes, the journey to heaven is heaven.
Yes.
That is something that I'm going to be thinking about, because we all go through these difficult times and these difficult moments, right? And sometimes in those moments, I know for me, if I'm being real, in those moments, you don't think of like the good things. You're just in that moment, right?
Mm.
But that's why you have to kind of pause, breathe, think, and say to yourself, the journey to heaven is heaven. I love that. I love that message. So short, so sweet, so simple, but yet so powerful.
Yes.
Leads me to my next question. What does
Mhm.
living in peace looks like for Danaya?
Oh, man. Living in peace looks like being true to myself at all times. Living in peace looks like honoring my calling, continuing to walk in my passion filled purpose,
Mhm.
and just accepting, my uniqueness, my light, and everything that comes with it.
I love that.
Every stage, yes.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. That is one of my favorite questions to ask my guest. What does living in peace look like to them? Because it was like I always grab some parts of everyone and just kind of connect it with what living in peace looks like for me. So that is beautiful.
I love that you asked that too, because I went on a retreat one time a few years ago, and that's when I realized that one of the most important things to me and for me is inner peace. And that might be like the overlapping, how everyone has like a cord that connects them, but sometimes you don't quite know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like it might just be your values are the same, but you don't have to speak out your values. And
Right.
for like yours is peace. And
Yeah.
for me, mine is inner peace, which basically is overlapping,
Right.
But those values are aligned, like of course.
Yes.
We're gonna connect. So
Yes. So let me ask you this. When you are going through a difficult moment, right? Let's just say traffic, right?
mhm.
Like traffic is mad annoying at times, right? And so my motto is, try not to let anything have that much power over you to where it's stealing your peace. So
Mhm.
in the moments of distraction or difficulties, in those moments, you what are you thinking about when it comes to your inner peace?
I'm thinking about breathing, honestly,
I love
because
that.
the
And
breaths be shallow sometimes. They be real, and then once you start being aware and taking longer breaths, it automatically calms you. And
yes.
I'm learning a lot too about like our body and how it really does keep the score and doing like somatic healing. Even with like the facials that I do, and I learned buccal facial, which is basically a massage that I do inside of the mouth. But the reason why we do it is to release tension, but we
Mm,
have tissues called fascia, and fascia is all throughout the body. Like I deal with it on the face to help like lift the face, but it's
okay.
basically every time you have an emotion like a low frequency anger, hurt, it twists and it turns. Like
Mm.
you want to release that, but imagine that happening all over your body. And every time it twists and it turns, it's holding on to a memory that caused you to freeze up like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like really when you release the faster you release emotions that you've been holding on to for a
Mhm.
long time that you subconsciously may not know that you're
Mhm.
still holding on to.
Mm.
Yes. So like the first step for me though is like deeply breathing.
Breathing.
Yes. And then just like I was saying, I guess to incorporate that inner peace and staying grounded
Mm. Mm.
is more so like doing work that releases fascia like yoga. I love to
Yeah.
do
Oh,
that on a basis.
me too. I have been to a few times. I have been to our yoga spot.
Yes.
But I love it. I love going on Sundays. First of all, yoga, like the fast cardio yoga,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah,
that that's like a workout.
it is. That's
I'm
what
I'm
you
like,
think.
wait
Oh,
a minute.
but you're like, baby, I'm sweating. I'm burning calories.
Sweating, and the heat is bumped all the way up in there. So you are like, okay, this you are working out.
You
But
bound to sweat.
yes, but I do love. Have you been to the Sunday night?
Oh
The Sunday,
no,
the
not
sun.
there. No. Mm-mm.
Oh my God, the Sunday evening yoga, Yonder Yoga, the
Mm-hmm.
Sunday evening, it is a reset to the day that you had and the week, like getting you ready into the week ahead. It's all just stretching. The
Mm-hmm.
music is playing. It's a candlelit yoga. So there's, it's like the lights are down. I mean, it is such a beautiful, deep vibe. And I really love going, like, after you done had your day of, service and reading and maybe walking,
Yeah.
that is the greatest way to kind of end the night. So I want to just encourage you to try to go to one of those Sunday nights because it's really, really good. Like I
I will, but I will say that I go to Highland Yoga as well, and
Oh, I gotta try that.
their evening classes are set up like that. Every
Really?
class is dimly lit, candles all over, and it's
Really? What's it called? Island?
Highland, and they have locations all over Atlanta. So check
I'm
them
gonna
out.
try it. because Yonder Yoga, I believe, is just on Sundays that they do like I think it's called yin, like candlelight yin or something like
Okay.
that.
Mm-hmm. You
But
know, that's feminine energy too.
yes, okay.
The yin and the yang.
Yes, I'm gonna try that. Thank you so much. Thank you, sis. Where can people find you?
Oh, y'all can find
Get,
me on Instagram. That's the best place to find me.
okay, but shout out your business too.
Oh, of course.
Shout out where all that, cause
Okay. So,
baby.
yes. So on Instagram, my name is Danaya, DANAYA_BE. Your besthetician, you know, specializing in even skin tone and anti-aging treatments. And you can see my work. I'm in my studio right now, Segment Skin, on that Instagram page as well. Right now, I'm currently located in the Upper West Side of Atlanta, so catch me while you can there. And if you want to stay tuned for updates, then follow me on Instagram.
Yes, yes, Danaya, it's been such a pleasure and a blessing to have you with me today. Thank you so much for being here, shining your light on so many people, including myself. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are very welcome, and thank you for seeing my light and just offering a platform for me to share it with more people. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. And you are more than welcome to come back on Living in Peace with Nakia podcast anytime, anytime, whenever you want, just let me know.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
All right, girl. Talk to you. All right. Bye.
Bye.